would you feel if your child never grew up? If they never seemed to learn anything or think for themselves? Even worse, imagine that you did everything you were supposed to do as a parent. You raised them the same way your parents raised you. You took them to school, and you trusted them to make the right decisions. And yet, here they are, newly graduated and complete bums. And they still don't seem to have learned anything. There are many teenagers like this all over America, and the fact is, it's not always the parents' fault or the schools. A problem that a lot of teenagers seem to deal with is the lack of motivation. Before graduation, many, if not all teenagers, will go through a time where they don't even care about learning. One way to help motivate these students to pay more attention during class and to do as best they can would be to make a basic skills test that each student has to pass in order to graduate. Having a test that could potentially cause someone not to graduate would encourage students to pay more attention in class and learn everything that they need to learn. I'm trying to get as many people as possible to agree that more states should pass a basic skills test in order for students to graduate. Because states' decisions are based off the people, and the more people I can get to agree with me, the more likely they're going to pass this rule. 26 states either currently have high school exit exams or are planning to put one in place. These tests vary between states, but they all have the same purpose: to make sure that students are learning. Since the passage of the No Child Left Behind legislature of 2001, all states have been required to administer a standardized test that each student has to pass in order to graduate. To administer a standardized test that each student has to take in order to ensure that they're learning essential materials. These tests could also help teachers to ensure that students are learning everything that they're teaching, and to also help make sure that they're doing a good job as a teacher and learning everything that these students need to learn. Teachers can't always be sure that students are learning during their classes, because they could always be copying off of other students or cheating on tests. However, these exit exams could help teachers to realize exactly which students are struggling and which areas the majority of the students are struggling in, so that they could spend more time on it or stress it more during class. An exit exam, eventually students are going to have to leave, and it's good to know exactly what they're capable of so that we can fully put our trust in them. Most students plan on going to college right after they graduate, or are just going to go straight into the work life. But for both situations, students are going to need to be able to analyze conflicting explanations, support arguments, solve complex problems, conduct research, and so on. They also need attributes such as good study skills, time management, and awareness of one's performance and persistence. Exit exams could help students develop some, if not all, of these skills by causing them to use them in order to pass the test and to help them prepare. Even though exit exams can't take all the credit for promoting these skills, they do provide a very good incentive for students to learn everything they need to learn and to do as best they can. Students without basic skills have no place in the adult world or outside of high school. If there is no common sense in our future generations, how can we expect them to make important and possibly lethal or life-changing decisions? So in a way, these tests, or students kind of need these tests. Maybe not all of them, but the ones who have an I don't care attitude sort of do, in order to keep them on track so that they would have a good future. One of the hardest things that teachers deal with is students not paying attention and having no desire to learn. Some students are very good about staying on track and taking advanced classes to make sure that they're actually learning and to help give them a head start in life. However, there are also a lot of students who kind of like, they base their schedule around classes that require little to no effort, and at the end of the year they haven't really learned anything. And there are also students who just kind of skip high school often because or skip classes often because they don't feel like it's very important for them to go. And even the students who are there may not always be paying attention. These students often graduate without learning anything, and they're unprepared for life afterwards. Many students believe that high school is like a big waste of time and that it's stupid. And the reason they think this is because they don't go to high school because they want to, but because they have to. And because they don't go to high school by choice, they often tend to like not care about it, to hate it, I guess, sort of. And however, having a test will decrease the students who go through high school with this sort of attitude, because the fact that they would have to stay in high school for a whole other year would encourage them to do better, because nobody wants to stay in high school for longer than they have to. Since X exams were placed in California, grades have risen from 2.98 to 3.31. The all-time high would be a 4 and all-time low would be 0, because that's like they did nothing. And also, as of 2015, 92% of students passed the high school exit exams. So these tests will help your children by making sure that they learn, that by preparing them for life outside of high school, and by keeping them on track. By supporting this movement, this movement to make more states require people to pass these basic skills tests, you could encourage your students to realize the importance of learning. There is no point in students going through high school and not learning anything. In fact, it would be a complete waste of time, money, and resources. And not only that, but it would leave these students totally clueless, and they'd be unprepared for life outside of high school. And because of this, it'd be very hard for them, and like even harder than it would be if they had learned everything that they needed to. So not only would this be pointless for them not to learn, but it could be harmful for them. And it's our job to make sure that students are learning everything that they need and preparing them to live for life outside of high school. And